When everything is marketing and marketing is everything, taglines and trends are just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. On the M Word, we're talking marketing and mission and the pursuit of what's personal. I'm your host, Jennifer Mulchandani, and you are listening to the M Word podcast presented by Arlington Strategy. Well, this is our first episode where I am having a conversation with one of my colleagues. So I'm very excited to have Antra Montmarquet. Am I saying that correctly?
You're saying it really good.
And
very correctly.
Thank you. I feel very French now. To join me, and Antra, you're our newest Arlington Strategy team member. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and when you joined.
Yeah, so hi, everybody who's tuning in today. I joined end of summer. I believe it was like August 28th, to be precise. I used to do in-house branding and marketing before I joined Arlington Strategy. Now I'm here, and I'm one of the marketing managers working with clients.
That's so great. And we love that you have joined our team. Our clients who've gotten to work with Antra are already so happy. And I know you've just fit right in. So it's a lot of fun having you here.
Thank you.
So you, today we're going to talk about AI and marketing. And this came about almost from day one. I want to say, like, when we were in conversations before you even joined the team, I think you might have asked us, how do we use AI on the job? Maybe I'm completely making that up, but we've been talking a lot about AI since you joined. And you have taken this as an internal area of focus in research. Tell us a little bit about what you're finding.
So using AI came about, it just became part of our reality. And I dabbled around at it in my previous position, and we didn't really have a certain policy on it. So before I started working here and really using it, creating content or drafting framework, I was wondering, like, what are the rules around it, right? And it's kind of strange because everywhere I looked around, there still are no really set rules about how to use it and when to use it. So it's a good conversation to have inside the organization and with clients about, do we use it to create content? Do we use it to do research? Do we use it as a thought partner? Do we use it to move on efficiency and things like that? And for me, I really like to play around with it, to test it. I started in a very neutral place with it, really just brushing up my resume and cover letter, training ChatGPT to write in my voice, which was a quite long process. And then I think that's the most important thing, is understanding that you do need to tune it to what you want it to be. And
Yeah, so I think that's such an important point because, sort of jumping ahead to the moral of the story, right, without giving away too much, is like, yes, we use ChatGPT, and a lot of businesses are, but training it to speak your voice, meaning to produce content that sounds more authentic. Like, tell us about, like, what does that process look like?
It's really about input-output. So first thing that what I start with end goal in mind. Why am I asking ChatGPT to craft something for me? What am I looking for? And then the first blurb that comes out of ChatGPT is really not usable most of the time. I read it over, and then I go back and forth and using the logical prompts. I'm like, don't use these words. Don't speak negatively, or I would like to lean into more of this nuance. And I feel like it's just really a lot about testing it and seeing how it responds on your questions you ask. Being smart about your questions, absolutely. I remember one example was, I think I was writing a cover letter or something like that, and ChatGPT was giving me this piece with so many smart words and pompous and using words like esteemed. And I even said to ChatGPT, I don't use the word esteemed. Don't ever use this word. That's not how I speak. And I had to be just a very straightforward to cut it out.
You don't have to worry about hurting its feelings,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's a machine, right?
I think what people who maybe aren't in the word business and really understand language models, is they'll see the paragraph that chat spits out, and they're like, "That's so great." And like those of us who are in the business of messaging and words is like,
Who talks
why
like
there's
that?
only like 15 like flowery expletive, like extra extra too much language that like nobody would write like that in real life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you brought up using it for a cover letter, because it was really clear to me. I mean, many, many, many candidates. In fact, I'd be shocked, like, for those who didn't use it as a tool or other AI tools, it's like, why not, right? But what's interesting is, like, seeing identical answers show up on, as part of our vetting process. We had some technical questions, situational questions that people would generate a written response for. And, it was clear as day to me which ones were generated by ChatGPT. And yes, that's a problem, because we produce content all the time, and we can talk a little bit about how you use it more as a tool and not as a substitute for critical thinking.
Absolutely. One example is I'm working with a client that operates in a very specific field that I don't have a lot of knowledge about, and so I use ChatGPT as a research tool instead of spending many hours of reading through policy. I asked ChatGPT very, very specific questions about certain policy or certain angle that I feel like my client wants to talk about to convey the message. And I asked ChatGPT to show me the research on this, show me the institutions or research centers that have done this research, show me the facts. And then I go and look up these research centers, think tanks, and see if they're credible or not. And then I decide which piece of this information I can use for my client. Another part is like understanding like who is your client's audience and who you're speaking to, so the tone of voice. And if you want to make, like I said, really elaborate and language-rich text, or are you trying to make it a very simple delivery because you're trying to just condense the information? And yeah, like I come up with the ideas, I write the first draft, and I'm asking ChatGPT just to clean it up, for example. That's really like one of my most used prompts is like clean this up.
Right.
So.
And what other AI tools have you been playing with or using as part of your job in marketing?
So I have used
the Fathom in Zoom. We use that. Fathom's an AI tool that it's one of the many AI plugins with Zoom, and it'll create summaries and transcripts.
Descript?
Oh, Descript,
Descript,
yeah.
Yeah. So I've used Descript. I record my meetings with clients. I always take notes as I'm recording my meetings, but then I upload my client meetings on Descript and ask for a transcript, and I use that to also use for marketing.
Yeah. I've recently used, I love ChatGPT. Like I'll be in sales meetings, and again, I get a transcript, and I use a different plugin to get the transcript, but then I'll ask Chat to tell me like what the, and I, by name, this person, these are the people who were most important. What were their key points, or what did they want our next action items to be? What can I say we know from the conversation? It saves hours.
Absolutely.
For a single sales positioning statement, it saves me so much time.
Yeah, and I think that's another way to think about why you're using these tools. And I feel like you're not using these tools to substitute a team member on your team. At least I'm using this tool to save time on certain tasks so I can deliver better results. So I can think deeper about certain things instead of spending time, agency hours of doing research, which is a very important part of our job, right? But this tool is compiling all this research for me. All I need to do is make sure that I fact check it. And I have like a great summary that I can use that as presenting like next level ideas to the client.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point in fact checking. In fact, it was part of this journey in researching all of AI. We developed you took the lead and probably used some AI tools, I would guess, to help develop
Maybe
a policy statement for our agency, because that doesn't exist. It hadn't existed in our agency, and it was important to us as a values-driven organization to say, like, let's grapple with these questions. How do we use it? How are we going to be ethical about using it? And how are we going to ensure that the quality of what we're delivering isn't being impacted? Because it's not about cheating. It's about efficiency. It's about quality. It's like having just yet another tool. I mean, we've had Google forever, right? And we have spell check forever. And it's like now taking these tools and amping them up, but doing it in a way that is still in our client's best interest, which also means we have to protect our client's data with this.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So always remember it's an open source. So anything that goes in, anyone can access that. So one of the ways of using AI or ChatGPT, in my case, is if you want to upload just some reports and get analytics out of it, never upload sensitive information. You can upload numbers, right?
But you want to mask who they are.
But you want to mask where these numbers. You don't have to mask where these numbers are coming from if it's just like some Instagram or social media, data that you're trying to report on. Say this is social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, but don't talk about who is the client.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. You're not naming. Yeah. You can always turn, if you want to compare clients, you can change in your spreadsheet client A, B, C, and D. And
give them a fictitious name.
Exactly. And I think that's important, and a lot of organizations don't know this. And I think very, very large organizations that do like enterprise level agreements with any software vendor, they have access to a level of anonymity that, sort of the regular Joes of the world or small businesses like ours, we're buying off the rack terms of service, which means we have to be really careful with what we're putting in.
Yeah, same way as we protect privacy for our clients in any other way.
Yeah.
It's just another tool that we're using where we have to be very careful what we put in.
Yeah. So I think our conversations on AI are going to evolve, and I think this is there's no way we can tackle how do we use AI in the marketing agency world in one short conversation. So we will come back and do this again, but for purposes of today's conversation, any parting words of advice or wisdom for those who are just starting to think about this?
Don't be scared of it. Take time out of your day to play around with it. Play around with prompts. Play with it in a safe space for you. For example, if you've developed marketing survey and you want to see if there's any questions missing out of the survey, upload that to ChatGPT and ask them questions and see what they say, and maybe there's something good you can get out of it. Just really don't be scared, don't put it off. And I think another thinking is like it's a private personal assistant. We can't hire personal assistants, right? That would be really costly. So use ChatGPT as your assistant.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Antra. I look forward to talking all things AI again really soon.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The M Word. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe and never miss a podcast. Visit arlingtonstrategy.com for more. The M Word is an Arlington Strategy production hosted by Jennifer Mulchandani. Our theme music is by Moochie. Graphic design by Kayla Fagan and Emily Rare. Sound engineering and editing by Ben Mulchandani.